All right, so today I'm talking about a topic I think everyone can tune in for. We're talking about triggers from past relationships and who's responsible for fixing those triggers. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back, viewers, to the Felix Black Show here on YouTube, your number one source for Purple Pill content. And now we are now streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So make sure that if you are not able to come to the YouTube video to see my beautiful face, that you can still listen to my beautiful voice on all of these streaming platforms. And as usual, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank everyone for the support. Today I'm talking about triggers. Triggers in from past relationships. And who's responsible for those triggers? We all have them, right? We've all had experience in past relationships. We have those things that we look for. We look for those, what we call red flags, something that triggers us from a past relationship, whether it be someone, not answering their phone, not having on their location, someone who is more withdrawn, who's not showing you enough attention, who hides their phone, whatever your trigger is, right? First, I'm going to say, before you start to date and try to find someone, this is both men and women, so I'm talking to both sexes today. Before you start trying to find someone to be with, to add to your life, just make sure that you're completely healed from the past. It is hard for someone to come into your life, try to change it for the better or enhance it, and they are being held back by a wall, by a lack of trust, by someone anticipating something going wrong. That is not fair to this new person. They have not done anything to you. They have not done anything to you. They have not lied, cheated, stole from you. They have not done anything. So why are they starting with a handicap? That's not their fault. That's your fault. So that's something that you need to work on. Past triggers from past relationships. I keep saying past triggers, but triggers from past relationships. Who is responsible for those triggers? You. You are. You are responsible for your own triggers. Let me elaborate on that a little bit. I get into a relationship with a woman and I have triggers that lead me down a path to not trusting her, to thinking that she's cheating, that she's lying, that she's not, being who she says she is. She is not responsible for those triggers in me because she hasn't done anything to create a trigger inside of me. What am I doing? I am projecting something that happened in the past onto this new person because what it is, I don't want to get hurt. I get it. We don't want to get hurt. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to minority report, right? We're trying to fix the problem before it becomes one, or we're trying to cut the problem before it actually manifests itself. And that's the problem. That in itself is a problem, right? We can't predict the future. We don't know what someone else is going to do. No two people are alike. Now, are there patterns that can say, all right, this person has been showing a pattern of behavior? That's not necessarily a trigger. A trigger is, you said you would be home at 7:30. It's 8 and I haven't heard from you, so you must be cheating. Hold on. There's so many variables to that. Things happen. Just because someone is later than what they said they're going to be coming home does not mean that anything malicious is happening, right? We have to remember our triggers are our triggers. This new woman in my life does not know what my triggers are. Unless I sat down, gave her a list, she wrote them down and memorized them, she's not going to remember that, because we all have so many. Not every trigger is something that's going to make you upset, make you just fly off the handle. Some of them make you worried. Some of them make you happy. You know, we always think of triggers as a bad thing, but some of them make you happy. Usually has a negative connotation though. But it's not fair to this new person. You're responsible for your own triggers. Now, she is in my life. I have triggers. As those triggers come up in conversation, or as she may tiptoe the line towards one of those triggers, that's when we have a conversation. And we don't have an accusatory conversation. We just have an informative conversation. Meaning, I can't get mad at her for doing what she's doing, even if it's bothering me, when she doesn't know. That makes sense, okay? She came home 30 minutes after she said she was going to, okay? I don't immediately greet her at the car with accusatory words. Where you been? Like, who is he? Why aren't you doing this? I give her a chance to see if she may tell me, hey, I know I said I was going to be here at 7:30. I know it's 8, but XYZ happened. Okay. So she knows that, not that it's a trigger, but she knows that she didn't do something she said she was going to do. And she's explaining it without me having to meet her at the point and make her explain it to me. That is a way of me knowing it's a trigger for me understanding she may not know, and to see how she would handle even coming home late. She may not say anything. So if she gets home and doesn't say anything, do I not say anything? Do I just say, okay, well, you said you were going to be here at 7:30, it's 8. If it's not a big deal, then it's not a big deal. But if it's a trigger that's going to lead me down a path, that is an opportunity to teach, okay? That is an opportunity to say, hey, can we talk for a minute? I'm not accusing you of anything, because words matter. People forget this. Words matter. Can I talk to you for a minute? It's not a big deal. I'm not accusing you of anything, but you said you was going to be here at 7:30. You came in at 8 and you didn't offer any explanation for that. And I just like you to know that that's something that bothers me. Not necessarily about you, but it could be something that leads down a path. Excuse me. That is communication. Communication is sitting down and having those conversations continuously. You're adding person A, person B, two completely different people to try to make one life together. That is what communication is. I'm communicating my thoughts and feelings without being accusatory. That is the main thing. Now, if she comes in late and later on the night, I'm like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Because you came in late, you didn't say shit to me. You didn't say like where you was at, where you had been, why you were late, and I'm not feeling that. You see how the tone changes based on the words, your delivery, all of those things matter. So that's my trigger. She doesn't know that. So she's not accountable for that. But we had that conversation. She came in late. She didn't say anything. Okay. Can I talk to you for a minute? Hey, it's not a big deal. I'm trying to just let you know we're still learning each other. But you said you was going to be here at 7:30. You didn't get here till 8. I thought maybe you would offer some sort of explanation as to why you were late, but you didn't. And that's okay. I'm not saying that you had to, but just for me, I would like to know if you're going to be running late, just communicate that with me. That way, I know nothing's happened to you, or, God forbid, my mind doesn't go down a darker path as far as your actions. To me, that is very communicative. I'm letting you know that this is something that could potentially bother me. It bothered me a little bit, but I'm not accusing you of anything because you did not know, and I can't fault you for not knowing what you don't know. So her response, or if the shoe was on the other foot and this is a woman telling me this is my response to that. I apologize. Like, to me, it wasn't a big deal, but if to you, me being late could potentially cause an issue, I will let you know in the future. I will try my best to let you know in the future. Just understand, like, for me, it's not any sort of trigger problem. So if I don't let you know that I'm running late, just be understanding of that. So I say that because it's a trigger for you. However, every time that I'm running late, and you let me know, I appreciate that. But every time that I'm running late, because it's not important or a trigger for me, I might forget. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think, well, I told him if he's running late to let me know. And he didn't. So that means he doesn't care. That's where we have to compromise a little bit on both issues. So that's why I say I'm not responsible for fixing your triggers. However, I do have a responsibility for navigating them. Okay. Once you tell me what your triggers are, that doesn't box her in to, I have to do it your way or there is an issue. Understand it's a little bit of give and take. Okay. I may have called 2 or 3 times to let you know I was running late, but this time I didn't. So you have to be a little bit understanding in that, because out of 10 times, I called you 6 times and I didn't call you 4 times. So are you going to focus on the 4 or the 6, right? You should focus on the 6 because this is something you asked me to do. This is not something that I'm naturally doing. So I'm making an adjustment. I'm not going to be perfect in that. And so when someone is making a compromise, especially when it comes to triggers, you have to give them a little bit of leeway, because you're imposing something on them that they may not be used to, right? Now, I'm not talking about your deal breakers. We're not talking about cheating. We're not talking about those type of things. So don't become hyperbolic in the comment section, okay? Don't do that. I'm talking about those little nuances, those little habits, picking up your clothes off of the floor and, stuff like that. The big triggers, trust issues, stuff like that, you, the person with the trigger, have to adjust that. Make sure, I don't even want to say the word fix. Make sure you work on it, so you are able to form a healthy relationship moving forward. You have to get to a certain point where you're able to let people in. Well, not people, one person in. If you cannot do that, if you find yourself holding the line, holding that wall, even when that person has not shown you anything of a negative tone, you still have some healing to do. And that's okay. Like, I don't understand why people have a bad sense of healing, getting themselves ready to receive and give love. That's very important. I'm sorry. I don't want to have to deal with your past relationships. If something negative happened to you, please let me know. I'm always going to be sympathetic to that. And again, I will know what your trigger is, and I will definitely try my hardest to navigate that That way we don't get to that point. But if it's something that causes me to make a change to my normal daily routine, you have to give me some leeway. You have to give me some leeway for mistakes. And when we don't give that leeway for mistakes, I think that's when we get into these relationships that are really oppressive and don't allow you to express yourself. You have to reduce the amount of baggage you bring into a new relationship. We're all bringing some. It's a matter of how it manifests itself. Some people show up with their baggage day one, right? They're oversharers. They tell you from the jump, I'm XYZ. I have this problem. I have this problem. I have that problem. I have that problem. Some people they don't show up with the baggage. It comes out little by little, right? They show up with a suitcase here, a suitcase there, a suitcase there, a suitcase there. And so that's normally how relationships work. When I first meet you, everyone is great. My ex was terrible. I'm out here looking for, respectable, upstanding, honest, non-cheating people. Okay, cool. We're all looking for that. So then when you get into these relationships, you start to see people's habits, things that, sometimes you like, sometimes you don't like. And so that's why I say that's the suitcases showing up. Oh, you don't wash your dishes every night, or you don't bathe 2 times a day. You don't make your bed. Okay, that's the little baggage stuff. But triggers everyone has triggers. Everyone has them. I'm not saying men, women, everyone has them. But it is your individual responsibility, the one with the trigger. Make sure I'm clear on that. The one with the trigger to fix it. No one else can fix that but you. No one else can get you to a point of believing, of trusting, of comfort, except yourself. A lot of times we spend a lot of time in our own heads. Communication is not just when there's an issue. Sometimes you just communicate just to let someone know how you're feeling. And it's very important when someone is letting you know how they feel. You listen. Sometimes it's not necessarily what they're saying. You can read body language. You can read tone. They just want to speak. They just want to get that out. So it doesn't necessarily need a rebuttal. It doesn't need feedback. But that is communication. Those are those conversations that happen in relationships that are priceless. And so words matter. It's important to the words that you're using, the tones that you're using. You don't want to be accusatory, because then people get defensive, and rightfully so. If I accuse you of doing something, you're going to defend yourself. But if I let you know how it affects me and things that I would like to see change for the better, that's us working together. And that's me giving you a chance to make a decision, whether you want to make that change or whether you don't, because you may not want to make that change. And that's okay too. That's what the communication piece is for. But I'm talking about triggers. Make sure you're fully healed before you get into these relationships, because people are getting hurt. People are losing faith in dating because people aren't fully healed. So then you start to generalize. Men are, women are. It's because you may have met 1 or 2 that weren't fully healed from past relationships. And I understand. I totally understand. Okay. But thank y'all for watching the show. Thank y'all for listening on all streaming platforms. We are on Apple. We are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio. Make sure you listen. Make sure you come to the video. Provide your feedback in the comment section. Make sure you like the video. Also, we're starting to grow over here. So I appreciate everyone with the support, and follow me on all platforms. It's the Felix Black Show. I'll see y'all on the next one.